Can this clone really match Louis Vuitton? What's up, y'all? Thanks for tuning in. In this video, we're talking about one of the most hyped up luxury tropical vacation-like fragrances versus one of its hyped clone competitors. Like I've said before in another video, Louis Vuitton Pacific Chill, it's not just a citrusy, minty fragrance. It's got a high-end, luxury, airy fragrance note about it that really just flips it upside down. It's a great fragrance. It's not just about citrus and mint. It's got a lot of other features to it, like the basil, the apricot, the fig, the rose, carrot seed. There's a ton of different little ingredients in here, and it's blended really well. So that begs the question, does the Alexandria fragrance come close enough to the Louis Vuitton to knock it off its pedestal, or is the Louis Vuitton going to prove that it's just in another league? I'm going to put the Louis Vuitton bottle right here. I don't have a full bottle of Pacific Chill. I bought a 30 ml decant online, so we're going to put that Louis bottle right there, and we're going to talk about this for a minute. Louis Vuitton, they describe the Pacific Chill as being like a blackcurrant, citrusy, minty, fruity, sweet fragrance. And honestly, it comes across as that once you smell it. It's a very nice fragrance, and it's perfect for the summertime. It's a great vacation fragrance, and it's a really good one. I'm going to spray this on paper here. Tester strip, if you will. Yeah, right off the top, citrus. Very bright citrus. Very bright citrus. But it has a nice little touch of mint. It's not a lot of mint, but you can smell just a touch of mint, which is nice because I don't like a lot of mint, but I like to be able to smell it. And that's how this is. It's not too much, but you can tell it's there. It's a very nice citrus opening on the Pacific Chill. That mini aspect here is really like cooling down this fragrance from Pacific Chill. Like I said, it's not a lot of mint, but it's just enough for you to know it's there, and it's like cooling it down a little bit. It's making it very nice. And then once it sits, I've had this on the tester strip now for about 10 or 15 minutes probably, and now that it's been sitting for a little bit, it's getting that sweeter aspect to it. The apricots, the fig, it says it's got carrot seed in there. I'm not really sure what in the hell a carrot seed smells like, and it's got rose in there. I know what rose smells like. But all these different fragrances are starting to come in through the bottom. But most noticeably is the sweeter aspect of it from that fig and apricot. This just smells luxury, high-end, expensive. It just smells very high quality. When you smell this, you can just tell it's something that is expensive. And you can also tell that this is a fragrance that was blended very well. Because it is. This is blended very well. And when you smell this, nothing smells heavy or aggressive. It smells very smooth, very even kill. It's not doing anything that's out of line. It's staying in its lane, which is a very soothing, relaxing, vacation-like lane. And it's capturing that vibe very well. Pacific Chill, 100%, gives me like a luxury vacation smell, like it's fresh fruit and ocean air, because that fig and apricot really shines in this after it sits for a little bit. It starts with that really bright citrus opening, and then that mint starts to kick in to give it that really like cooling effect, and then that sweetness comes in there, and that's where I'm at with this thing right now, is in that sweetness phase. And it really is nice, and it gives you a really high-end luxury vacation vibe. It feels like you would want this on a vacation. So now let's talk about Alexandria Fragrances Pacific Coast. Alexandria Fragrances, I have smelled this one because I've had this for a little bit now, and I can tell you this is a definite Pacific Chill inspired fragrance, since I've smelled the Pacific Chill before today as well, but it's definitely inspired by Pacific Chill, and you can immediately tell that. Right off the rip, the Pacific Chill is a little bit less sweet than the Alexandria Fragrances. And I'm going to have to spray this on a tester strip to get another whiff of it real quick. So let's do that. Let's get this on some tester strip here. Because actually, look at that atomizer. Alexandria Fragrances has a great atomizer. Watch that. Did you see that? It's awesome. It's like a fire hydrant. Oh man, it is so close to the Louis Vuitton off the top. They smell almost identical, no joke. Wow, they really get close to the Louis Vuitton here. Alexandria Fragrances Pacific Coast, I'm telling you, this is, so far, this is very close to the Louis Vuitton. Now I just sprayed this and I'm just smelling the opening, but man, this opening is spot on, I'm telling you. I mean, right away, you can smell that this is straight up inspired by Pacific Chill from Louis Vuitton. Alexandria Pacific Chill. Yeah, they are definitely similar fragrances, very accurate depiction of Pacific Chill with Pacific Coast here. They share the same DNA. They are both very sharp off the top with that citrus, and I'm getting a little bit of the mint with this as well that I got with the Louis Vuitton. It's there as well. They captured that essence here, which is truly amazing because that mint really gives this some depth. It gives it that cooling, airy effect, I believe, with both of these fragrances. So I've had these both on tester strips for about 10 or 15 minutes now, and they are very similar, but I think the Alexandria Fragrances Pacific Coast is coming across a little fruitier than the Pacific Chill is. They're still very close, don't get me wrong, but I am getting a little more of a fruity sweetness out of the Pacific Coast than I am from the Pacific Chills. More citrusy, minty. It is sweet with the apricot and fig as well, but this one from Pacific Coast is just a little sweeter. It's almost as if Alexandria Pacific Coast has concentrated more on the apricot fig aspect and the base notes of Pacific Coast, because it is a sweeter fragrance and that is definitely coming across. 30 minutes into the tester strip sprays here, and they are similar, but they also have some differences shining now. Pacific Chill from Louis Vuitton is more airy and a little more sharp than the Pacific Coast from Alexandria Fragrances. The Pacific Coast smells denser and a little sweeter than the sharper citrus aspects on the Louis Vuitton. And it's not bad or anything like that. It's just that the Pacific Coast is just a little bit different, but it smells really good. That's not a bad thing. You don't want it to be identical. I mean, maybe they do, but it doesn't smell identical. It gets very close, but it has its own little personality with that extra bit of sweetness in there. Right off the top of my head, the best way I can describe this right now is Pacific Chill smells more refined and sharper, and Pacific Coast smells louder and sweeter. When you smell Pacific Chill, everything is blended smoothly. It's more refined. It's not as in your face. It's a little more subdued. It's a little more chill. It's not as in your face as the Pacific Coast. The Pacific Coast is a bit more aggressive with the fruity sweet aspect of it, which gives it a little more legs, a little more aggressiveness. Not aggressiveness, I guess. I guess just a more sweetness than the Pacific Chill does. But it smells really good. It's a nice fragrance, and they have gotten really close to the Louis Vuitton DNA here. I would say a good 85%. In my estimations, calculations in my head just now, about 85% accurate here. And to be honest, Alexandria's Pacific Coast might be for a lot of people. They might like the sweeter aspect of it better than the airy, more citrusy aspect of the Pacific Chill. A lot of people like sweet stuff, and if that's the case for you, you'll probably like the Pacific Coast a little better than the Pacific Chill, because they both smell very similar, with Pacific Coast just being a little bit sweeter and the Pacific Chill being more refined and more smoothed out. Side by side, they smell very similar, but Louis Vuitton, it still smells more expensive, luxury, and smooth. That's just a fact, it does. It smells like it's more high-end than the Pacific Coast. And the performance issue, that's where Pacific Chill goes. That's been the knock on Pacific Chill, is this performance level is not the best. And that's well known. And that's where Pacific Coast goes. it performs better than the Pacific Chill. And I can speak from experience on this because I've had the Pacific Coast and the Pacific Chill for a while now, like months. And I can attest to the Pacific Coast does last longer than the Pacific Chill. It's a better performer. That's a fact. On the skin, Pacific Coast, it definitely is louder and more standoutish than the Pacific Chill. Pacific Chill sits closer to the skin, but it also smells more smooth and refined than the Pacific Coast. It just smells more high-end, more well blended than the Pacific Coast. So basically, Pacific Coast gives you more oomph. Pacific Chill, it gives you a better overall experience for wearing the fragrance. So, with all that being said, can Alexandria Fragrances, can it replace Louis Vuitton Pacific Chill? I think for a lot of people, yeah. Alexandria Fragrances is going to replace Louis Vuitton for sure, for a couple of reasons. One, the price tag. This costs a lot less than the Louis Vuitton does. But with that being said, this is a little bit more expensive than your normal cologne fragrance. I paid $70 for a 60 ml here. So it is a little more expensive than your normal cologne fragrance. But they are very good at Alexandria with their colognes. I've got a good many of them. They are very well mixed cologne fragrances and they perform well. So Alexandria is a very good value, and Pacific Chill is a more rounded out, smoother fragrance. So it's kind of a balance here. Do you want to pay more for the higher end, better blended fragrance? Or do you want to get a good discount and get a fragrance that gets about 85% close to the original? A lot of people are going to be like, screw it, man. I'm going to pay the $60 and get the 60 mLs and call it a day. And especially the people that like a fruitier fragrance, they're really going to be the ones that hop on the Alexandria Fragrances train and spend a lot less money, get something that they like more, and that's a fruitier fragrance than the Pacific Chill, and be happy because this is an amazing fragrance. It's a really good one. I really recommend this, and if you haven't tried it yet, it's a great clone of Louis Vuitton Pacific Chill. And with all that hype of Pacific Coast from Alexandria Fragrances, Louis Vuitton smells better to me. It does, because I'm not the biggest on fruity stuff, and I really prefer the smell of the Pacific Chill because it's a little less fruity than the Pacific Coast. It smells great, but the Pacific Chill is a little less fruity, and that's more my style. And so if that's your style as well, smell-wise, you'll like the Pacific Chill better as well. Alexandria Fragrances Pacific Coast has come shockingly close to the Louis Vuitton Pacific Chill though. And there's something to be said for that, especially considering it costs a lot less than the Louis Vuitton. So I want to hear from you all. Have you tried Alexandria Fragrances Pacific Coast? Do you think it gets close enough to the Louis Vuitton Pacific Chill to be a replacement for it for a lot less money? What do you think? Let me know in the comment section. Have you tried this? Have you tried any other colognes that get close to the Louis Vuitton Pacific Chill? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. These cologne wars are just ramping up, baby. We're going to be putting them out hot and heavy here. And I really enjoyed this one because I really enjoy Alexandria Fragrances. I think they are an underrated cologne house that does a really good job in getting inspired fragrances correct. They get a lot of fragrances correct and get really close to the originals. And I've enjoyed a lot of the ones I have. They're really good. And give them a shot if you haven't. Alexandria Fragrances here. But yeah, thanks for watching. If you could please like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Look out for my new videos. They're going to be coming out, especially these cologne ones. I'm going to be doing a lot of cologne videos coming up and other types of videos as well. Got a lot of stuff going on here. And I appreciate y'all tuning in as always. And I'll see you real soon.